This week on the show, we have Wendell Pierce, who currently stars on the CBS show Elsbeth and snaps on the Starz series Raising Kanan. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for watching. This show is all about giving you insights and showcasing brands that help you to live your best life and give you confidence. As always, I want to kickstart your morning with some motivational advice to help you to feel inspired and energized to start your day. Today, I want to talk about the importance of understanding that your brain will always prove you right. So what thoughts are you feeding it? The reality is our brain dictates how we perceive the world and the emotions we feel. The reticular activating system of our brain filters out unnecessary information, takes what you focus on, and creates a filter for it. That's why if you're constantly thinking about something, you happen to start seeing signs of it everywhere. Your reticular activating system is constantly giving you data on the thoughts you are feeding it. For example, if we're constantly thinking about disempowering or negative beliefs, like life is so hard for me, or good things never happen for me, our reticular activating system will then go to work and filter out that data to show you evidence to prove you right. The great news is we can begin today to start feeding our brains thoughts and beliefs that empower us so that our reality can start showing us evidence of that belief. People who think I am so lucky, where everything is always working out for me, tend to experience exactly that because our reticular activating system begins to go to work to show you data to prove you are correct. Make your mission today to start being conscious of what beliefs you are telling yourself. Begin to switch negative beliefs to ones that empower you so that your reticular activating system can constantly show you data of how lucky and blessed you truly are. Just like the quote by Henry Ford quotes, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. Stay tuned. Coming up after the break. And fast forward, let's talk about your role as Captain Wagner in Elsbeth.
Well, Elsbeth is a show that is centered around Elsbeth Passioni is a lawyer who's quirky and weird, and she has come to investigate the New York Police Department, and so she is my nemesis and a thorn in my side. But in the course of that, I discovered that she is a brilliant investigator, and she helps my detectives solve cases. So she becomes a real asset while she's also being a pain in my butt. And along the course of that, I befriend her. And the show is really based on Columbo, which was an old show with Peter Falk. And so she's like a female Columbo. And then this summer, I'm going to be a part of two big comic book films. Thunderbolts, which comes out in May 2nd. And then in July, first week in July, Superman comes out. I play Perry White. So I have a lot of things coming up, and I'm working very hard and enjoying the journey.
Wardrobe provided by Le Chateau. Next up on the show, we have American actor Wendell Pierce, who currently stars on the CBS show Elsbeth and snaps on the Starz series Raising Kanan. Wendell, thank you so much for being on the show today. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. We have a lot to talk about, but before we get into your current roles in shows like Raising Kanan, let's talk about your passion for acting. When did it begin?
Oh, well, I started very young. I actually did a play in kindergarten. I played Chicken Little. The sky is falling down. But I really, it was in the summer between 5th and 6th grade. I guess I was about 10 or 11 years old. I went to a theater camp at the University of New Orleans. It was run by a husband and wife team who did little film and theater and had a great summer. And when I went back to school, the woman called and she was directing her thesis play, which was a children's play. And it was, she asked me to be a part of it and be the lead in it. And that really sparked my interest. And I decided to start doing plays and getting into theater. And then they came recruiting for the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts about 2 years later when I first went into high school. And I went there to visit, and that's when I realized, oh man, that is a beautiful, beautiful school, and they are really preparing people and training people seriously. And that's when I really caught the bug, when I was 14.
Wow, that's pretty young. It's incredible.
Yeah. Then
And what?
I had a great example in the community of the Free Southern Theater, which was a group that used to go around during the civil rights movement and do plays along the marches and all. And that's when I really saw the professionalism and the artistry. And I worked with members from that company once it disbanded when I was in my high school years, and they became my mentors and all. And those 3 short years from 14 to 17, working in the community with Free Southern Theater, members from the Free Southern Theater, and working at and training at the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, I really developed a work ethic and a professionalism and an appreciation and love for the art form. And that prepared me to go to Juilliard. And I came to New York when I was 17 to study at Juilliard, which is one of the best conservatories in the world.
Wow, incredible. And one of your first major roles when you started was the HBO series The Wire. Tell us about that role.
Yeah, well, The Wire came actually, it came well into my career. It was about, I've been kind of a professional actor for about 15 years when The Wire came along. And it became a defining role and job in my career. And it put me on the map. It will be the first thing mentioned when people reflect on my career. And The Wire was one of the best experiences I've ever had, because it made an impact that was classic, that's going to speak to people long after I'm gone, long after we're all gone. It speaks to people now and spoke to people back then, and that's the thing that makes it classic. It was so well written, so well shot, and the actors on it, we did a great job. And it still has an impact today. It was like the canary in the mine. What the show was talking about, the dysfunction of the American urban landscape, the decline in the American empire, and all due to the hubris, the tragic flaw of America, which is its duplicity, which is, we believe e pluribus unum, out of many, one. And now we say that, but then we act differently. As you see now, we don't believe out of many, one. We don't want everyone to be a part of it. There is, there's a lack of this idea of inclusion is seen as a pejorative today. Inclusion and equality, and diversity is seen as a pejorative. So we were talking about that then when The Wire first came on, and it was the canary in the mine, letting people know that if we go down this path, it's a path of self-destruction, and hopefully we can get off of it. And it's because of that sort of impact with the work that The Wire became famous and is still speaking to audiences today.
Very nice. And I know in 1985 you made your Broadway debut that earned you some Tony Awards. Let's talk about how Broadway kind of shaped you into the actor you are today.
Well, yeah, I made my Broadway debut. I wasn't nominated then, but that's 2 years ago. After 30 years returning to Broadway, I was nominated for Death of a Salesman. I started out in the piano lesson on Broadway and Serious Money. I am an actor who was classically trained, and so theater was my first love, and I always feel as though my success is due to the fact that I do theater, television, and film each year. I try to have an eclectic and diverse career, and I like to work in the different mediums. And good writing is always the barometer by which I judge what pieces I try to do. I try to do good writing, but I want to do theater and film continuously, going back and forth. So it just stretches a different muscle, a different acting muscle when you're on the stage and when you're filming. And so I like to do it all. And I think my longevity, because this year will be my 40th year in the business,
oh, wow.
is because I do theater and film. And so doing Broadway, which is the epitome of the stage commercial career, just challenges you and forces you to be the best that you can be. And that's what I trained for. So it gives me a great sense of satisfaction when I'm on stage, especially at that level.
Mm-hmm. And fast forward, let's talk about your role as Captain Wagner in Elsbeth. Tell us about your role.
Well, Elsbeth is a show that is centered around Elsbeth Passioni is a lawyer who's quirky and weird, and she has come to investigate the New York Police Department, and so she is my nemesis and a thorn in my side. But in the course of that, I discovered that she is a brilliant investigator, and she helps my detectives solve cases. So she becomes a real asset while she's also being a pain in my butt. And along the course of that, I befriend her. And the show is really based on Columbo, which was an old show with Peter Falk. And so she's like a female Columbo. And Carrie Preston, there we go, came to me. I'm showing my age. I had a senior moment. Carrie Preston is like a modern day Lucille Ball meets Meryl Streep. She has the acting ability and chops to be a comedian and a great dramatic actor. And so she has that special quirkiness and created this character of Elsbeth. And has won awards with it, and so it's great to have this show developed around her, and it's great to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. And you also play Snaps on the Starz series Raising Kanan. I know you play a gangster in that, which is quite different from your other role, right? So tell us about that role as well.
So on Raising Kanan, I play Snaps, who is a old school gangster, bank robber, drug dealer. And he is the polar opposite of Captain Wagner. I am literally at the same time playing cops and robbers.
Yeah.
And it is showing my range as an actor. That's what I love about the challenge, that I'm playing two men who are completely different. And I tried to make them as distinct as possible, as separate as possible, and let that be a display of my abilities as an artist and as an actor, and that's what we live for. That's what we dream of being able to do diverse, eclectic roles and really display your talent. And it's this time right now is really a highlight for me to demonstrate that, and I really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And you've been in the industry for so long. You've had so much success as an actor. For you, what's been your most memorable milestone that's meant something really great to you personally?
When I did Death of a Salesman and played Willie Loman, it was my first time doing a play in London. It is one of the most challenging roles in the English canon. It is the American Hamlet, really, and it is the thing that I've never been challenged so deeply as I was emotionally, physically, vocally, with stamina, as I was playing Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. And to do that on the London stage in the West End, where so many for centuries had actually played, that was quickly the highlight of my career. At that point, I was wondering if my best days were behind me. And I was a 60-year-old man who had a long career, a roller coaster of a career, as all careers can be, but wondering if I had the abilities to do some of the great roles. You know, I was fearful that I didn't have my chops anymore, that my best days were behind me. But that role gave me the courage. So while I still have fear, I now have courage. And that's acting not in the absence of fear, but acting in the face of fear. So I'm looking forward to now doing some of the more challenging roles that are out there, that are on my bucket list, and one of them will be Othello, which I do next
very nice.
season. So next season. So that's the highlight of my career. That for me is the culmination of decades of work and multitudes of projects and all the training and the experience was Willy Loman in Death of a Salesman on the London stage.
Very nice. And, aside from being a fantastic actor, you also are passionate about giving back. I know that you have a nonprofit organization, so tell us about that.
Mm-hmm. So 20 years ago, my world, my neighborhood, my city was destroyed in Katrina. I'm from New Orleans. I live in New Orleans. And my neighborhood of Pontchartrain Park came out of the civil rights movement. It was an ugly time in segregated New Orleans where you couldn't even go to a park if you were black, except one day out of the week, Negro Day. Any other time you would be arrested. And it was because of my parents' generation that they fought against discrimination and segregation and won these battles that gave us access to green space, literal just green space, to a park, to a playground, just like any other American. And out of this advocacy, my father came back from World War II, who was a part of this movement, along with my mother, who was a teacher. And they developed a neighborhood called Pontchartrain Park in post-World War II, where it was a place where African Americans could buy homes, which was a part of the 1950s boom, suburbia explosion. And while it was separate but equal, still couldn't buy into white neighborhoods, but they made it separate but equal. They took that ugly concept of giving us the same thing but separate and turned it into an incubator of talent. In Pontchartrain Park, our first black mayor, our first DA, musicians, teachers, lawyers, doctors, all came out of this great neighborhood. And it was totally destroyed by Katrina. And I knew it was up to me and my generation who benefited from my parents' generation. They were like this Moses generation that gave us, Joshua generation, a wonderful place to grow up and go out and be successful men and women in the world. When that neighborhood was destroyed, it was up to us to rebuild it. And that's when we put together our own nonprofit, Pontchartrain Park Community Development Corp., and rebuilt our neighborhood brick by brick, block by block, house by house. And now we are back up and we are on the National Register of Historic Places. So that was due to all of those people that fought so hard and gave their lives to give me a better life. So we owed it to them, and we honored them by rebuilding what they had built in the first place.
That's amazing that, you're using your platform to help and inspire others. So I love that. And, speaking about inspiration, I created my platform to inspire, to uplift, and to really showcase that anything is possible with a dream, a vision, and belief in yourself. So for anyone watching this that, might be going through a hard time, maybe they're working hard but not seeing their dreams manifest, what would you say to inspire and uplift them?
Exercise your right of self-determination. Exercise your right of self-determination. It is a right. Don't let anyone tell you your vision is a privilege and you have to wait for someone else to give it to you. Do all the things necessary to put yourself in the best position to achieve the goals that you want. So exercise your right of self-determination. And something else that is really important, this is something I just recently was thinking about, and someone said that you work hard, we teach our kids to work hard, and to go to school and do the best that they can, and meritocracy will reward them with success. Well, that's not always true, because even though we try to live by a meritocracy, life is not fair. So it won't always result in the success that you want. But the reason we tell you to work hard and live your dreams and exercise your right of self-determination, because the first wealth in life is not money or possessions or whatever, it's knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
The first wealth in life is knowledge, and you want to acquire that knowledge, because working hard, the real success is self-fulfillment, a sense of self-worth, of self-value, that should be the goal. And as a byproduct of that, it increases your likelihood of becoming successful when it comes to monetary wealth and accumulating possessions, or living in a home that you would like, or whatever. You don't work hard for just those material things. You work hard for self-fulfillment, and that should be the primary goal. So even if the material things may not reach the level you want, you will be rich in self-fulfillment and doing what you're called to do, your vocation. I am an actor because that's my vocation, the thing that I love to do. I've been fortunate to make it my occupation, the thing that I earn my living at. But I accept that one day it won't be my occupation. That won't change the fact that it'll still be my vocation. So even if I have to be a garbage man during the day, and at the end of the day take a shower and put on a fresh set of clothes and go down to the local community theater and do a play, I will still be satisfied, because I am doing the thing that I'm called to do, my vocation, and be an actor. So while the two may not always happen at the same time, your vocation and your occupation, know that the first wealth is knowledge and fulfilling yourself. You work hard for self-fulfillment. So exercise your right of self-determination and capture that self-fulfillment.
I think that's fantastic advice, because, you know, when we follow our passion, that's when we get self-fulfillment, right? And that's really, at the end of the day, the biggest reward. So I completely agree with you. Wendell, what else are you currently working on? What are your current projects?
I am finishing up, we have finished up Raising Kanan, which is now airing. And I'm finishing up this season of Elsbeth. And I'm about to go to London, where I'm shooting Jack Ryan, the movie, for Primetime, where I play James Greer, the deputy CIA director. And then this summer, I'm going to be a part of 2 big comic book films. Thunderbolts, which comes out in May 2nd. And then in July, first week in July, Superman comes out. I play Perry White. So I have a lot of things coming up, and I'm working very hard and enjoying the journey.
Amazing. Wendell, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. And congratulations on all your success.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you.
The Darriel Roy Show is available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts.